What's up, everyone? Welcome back to our podcast, Elevated Podcast. So you have me, John, Donovan. We got Drew, the regulars. Then we got Beej. And then we got our guests, special guests. Something cool about this real quick before we say this is he's our first real guest. So he's a father, husband, grandfather, an uncle, a coach, a brother, a mentor. He's the master of Delta. It's a D hard stand. So our special guest today is our Uncle Butch. We're grateful to have you, Unc, for real. We appreciate you being here and being willing to hop on. A big part of our podcast is that we really believe in ordinary people doing extraordinary things. And I'll be honest, Unc, I'm trying not to get emotional. You're very extraordinary to me, personally. We all know I didn't grow up with a father figure. I didn't have my biological dad. But something that me and Donovan talked about with all of our guests, and especially you, we were excited for this. But you have been a big part of my life. So thank you. Thank you for this opportunity. Thank you for always loving us boys unconditionally. And thank you for just always having a open heart and open mind and always being willing to teach us, to love us in your own goofy way. We appreciate it. Before we start that, want to address something real quick. To all our viewers and our followers and everyone, on behalf of me, because I'm the one that has the problem, is I want to apologize for my language. I know I swear a lot, and I know I curse a lot, and I know it's not the greatest example, and I'm very aware of that. I'm grateful for my aunt. She's off screen, my Auntie Jan, addressing it with us. We are very comfortable with any feedback and any advice, because honestly, we're still young, we're still learning, and we're still growing. A big part of our podcast is striving to elevate ourselves physically, mentally, and spiritually. And that's one of the things that I know I need to improve on. So just wanted to say that. So I apologize for that, and want to make sure that we deliver our message in the greatest way that we can. And I know I can do better. I'll be honest, I'm probably not going to be perfect after this. I probably will swear here and there. But just understand that we believe in progression. Our belief system is we believe in progression and improvements. And so that's what we are striving to promote and encourage you to do as well, to improve your lives. So just want to get that out of the way. And let's go and learn a little bit more about our uncle. Ready? Mm-hmm. All right, Unc. So let's start from the beginning. Where were you born? Where were you raised?
First of all, thanks for inviting me, and appreciate it. And always good to spend time with you boys. I was raised in San Diego. My dad was in the military, so we moved around a lot. I was born in San Diego. We moved from San Diego, California to Vallejo, California, Mare Island. And then from Vallejo, California, we moved back down to San Diego. And then from there, we moved to Northern California. We were up in the Bay Area, Alameda. My dad was stationed over there. And from there, we moved back to San Diego. We did a lot of moving. But I was raised, my dad believed in discipline because he was military, so we were raised with a lot of discipline. he also believed in education. My father is probably where I got the hard work ethic from, because my father was a hard worker, no nonsense guy. He just wanted to get straight to the point. He didn't like BSers, even though my mom said he was probably one of the biggest ones. But he pretty much a no nonsense guy. He was a good example to us as someone who was a good provider. He did his job when he provided for us. Emotionally, I guess, well, I'm a mama's boy. I'm not gonna lie. And my mom was the one that showed us the tenderness, the tender side of being a parent. My father was more of the be tough or get out kind of guy. So, other than that, I loved playing football when I was growing up. I played at Morse High School in San Diego, and I played at Banning High School in LA. And then I moved back to San Diego and finished at Morse. I played a little college ball at West Los Angeles, where Warren Moon went. Warren Moon had won the championship in '76 for West LA, and then he went on to University of Washington. After that, I started working. I got my girlfriend pregnant, had my first child at 19, and then had another child at 20. And then it didn't work out for us. I moved up to Washington with my parents, stayed there for a while, came back to California. Tried to work it out, but it didn't. So I moved up to San Francisco and met my wife Jan, and then we started dating. Probably, I'm not gonna lie, it's probably the best thing to happen to me, because we didn't start out perfect, but we started our little family. I still had my idea that the man of the household was supposed to be the dude. He's the man. Whatever he says goes. But in reality, for a marriage to work, it's 50-50. You have to give and take. And you have to respect each other and show respect to each other. And I learned a lot of that being married to my wife. And it didn't start out good. It didn't start out good. When we moved up here, I think I was 27. And we had our 4 children, Dre, Janessa, Jamie, and Beach was a year old when we moved. I always wanted to coach football, but I never really had the opportunity because I didn't really know anybody up here, so I just sort of kept to myself. Worked at FedEx. Worked for FedEx for 28 years, and now I'm with Delta, 16 years in, trying to work on that second retirement. So the plan was to work, get 2 retirements, and travel and not worry about money. But life has a funny way of changing your plans, because now that we have grandchildren, my wife, I don't think she really wants to travel anymore. She just wants to hang around with the grandkids. So,
I'll take your benefits. I got you, bro. I'll use them.
Well,
can you watch our kids? How do we do that?
I got enough grandkids.
They're quiet though.
Well, they are quiet. I'll give you that.
You stash them in a corner.
No, I won't do that. But I mean, I got into coaching football when BJ was 8. I didn't think he was going to play because I asked him, and apparently he liked soccer better than football, and he told me he didn't want to play football.
Orale!
Yeah, man.
That's why you went to Guatemala. Live your dream!
Well, when you guys used to play around as little kids outside, you guys were in the snow one day, and I watched BJ tackle you, and it was a perfect form tackle, and I was thinking to myself, this kid can play football. I'm going to get him to play sooner or later.
Perfect! Bent at the knees!
We picked him up and put him down, and I was like, that's exactly how you do it, son. So, at 8 years old, I think he was a little shy because he was shy as a kid. He asked me, "Dad, can you come? Can you come with me when we go play?" And I thought, all right, I'll come help out. So I just wanted to help out as a side coach. Well, ended up they were hurting for coaches at Hunter back then, and they wanted me to be a B team coach, and I didn't want to do it because I'd never been a head coach. I knew the game of football, but I've never coached little kids in football, and it takes a lot of patience because you have to make it fun for the kids, I think, and that's one thing I didn't know because I just came in all serious. And I think my son got tired of me yelling at him because I yelled at him all the time, only because I coached him up to know better, and he did know better, but he just kept doing whatever he wanted to do sometimes. I think he was tired of me yelling at him. Because the next year he was like, "Dad, can somebody else coach me?" And that's when we came to Granger. And then so Bill ended up taking over for him. I went to coach the older kids who understood what I was trying to teach them. Because the team we had only won 2 games a year before. And I was like, you got to be kidding me. Because they had some talent, but they just said the coaches weren't. They weren't connecting with the kids. I don't want to talk bad about any coaches, but I think that's, if you can gain the kids' trust, then it's easier to coach them. And the best way to gain the trust is whatever you're teaching them has to work out on the field, because if it doesn't, then they look at you like, this guy doesn't know what he's talking about. So, the biggest joy I got out of coaching was when the light came on from all the stuff I'm trying to teach these kids, where I don't have to tell them what to do anymore. They coach, I seen what you were talking about, blah, 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 this or that. And so the linebackers, D-linemen, quarterbacks and running backs, I left to somebody else because I was more of a, if the trenches or if your linemen don't work, then that's your foundation. Then whatever your offense, defense is not going to go, because it starts from the foundation up. But a lot of that stuff I learned over here. I wasn't a member. I didn't join the church until 2000, and a lot of it had to do with Everett Ika and Jason, Uncle Jason. They were good examples to me as priesthood holders, and they always had that happiness that I couldn't figure out that they always had.
Before we get to that, because I feel like you're jumping all the way over there.
Yeah.
I have a question. And you told me this one story one time. You got in a fight with the Asian dude. Can you tell us a story about that?
Yeah. Okay, so this is me being humbled.
How old were you?
I was about 15 years old, and I was big for my age because I was about 6'1", 215, 210 as a 15-year-old. And
God damn.
I thought my big head that I was the big bad guy. Well, there was a little Asian kid at school that I didn't know was pretty much a martial artist. And I don't know. I don't know if I bumped into him or he bumped into me, but little beef started and I pushed him back and I was like, "Hey man, watch where you're going." And he goes, "It wasn't me, you bumped into me." And I'm like, no. So I started to bully him. And the next thing I know, I'm looking up after getting hit in the face about 3 or 4 times and kicked in the stomach. And then I was like, what the heck? And then he is standing above me smiling. And he's like, "You had enough?" After that, I just stayed in my lane. Did not try to bully nobody. I think I was the shiznit because I wasn't. I was just me trying to stay humble. And that's very humbling. Get beat up by a dude that's like, I don't even think he was 5 foot, but he was quick and very strong for a little guy, man. We ended up becoming good friends later on, but that was humbling, to say the least. And after that, I just never tried to be Mr. Big Bad Guy. I was just like, "Hey, man, we're all friendly here." I
Hey, dude, we're all good, man.
Let's be friends.
I don't know what your background is. No, I asked that. It's a funny story, but it's a story that's always stuck with me. Just because, like, that's how I've always seen you all the time. Like, growing up, you've always been not a pushover, but you've always stood on business that needs to be stood on. You didn't worry about all the nonsense or anything like that. And so I feel like that story always stuck out to me just because that was your beginning of that experience. Or maybe, I don't know. But yeah, I've always thought, I've always seen you that way, where it's just like, no, man, like everyone's cool. Like treat everyone the same. And so like that's something I always loved about you.
The only time I would actually show animosity towards somebody is if it was shown towards me. Other than that, I'm all about, hey man, let's not worry about the stupid stuff. Let's just get on and do what we got to do. But if it was my children or my wife or my family, my siblings, it's different. I mean, then so you either stand up and be who you're supposed to be, or live with consequences. The way I felt, I just never wanted to live like that. So.
Yeah, I'll say that I've seen that with you, like when you needed to stand on business like that with family. So there's an experience I had with me, my mom, V, and Alfred. We used to live by those apartments by Harmon's. My mom called you because they were at it. Him and her and Alfred were at it. And I remember you just came in and still, it's a chaotic moment, but you were calm, collected, and you just like, nah, John, V, come on, let's go. Jody, you staying or you going? It's up to you. Like, I'm taking the kids. And then you took us to the truck, and then Alfred comes out and is like pounding on it, trying to jump on it. I can't remember if he kicked the windshield or whatever. I can't remember if that was the moment, but you really were like, hey, you better get off, or it's like we're gonna have to handle business. I remember he just left and went in with my mom, but I remember that moment too. Like that was a really big moment for me where I'm like, dude, look at this gentle giant, but he ain't messing around. Like if he has to, he will. But he doesn't. That's not his first thing. So for that, I never brought that up to you, but for real.
I'm surprised you remember that because I really didn't want to be there. The only thing I was worried about was you and V, because Jody called me and said he was acting stupid. Mm-hmm. I talked to Auntie and I was like, man, I really don't want to go over there because I'm gonna end up kicking his butt. No, just go over there and get the kids. I said, all right. So I went over there, and your dad kept throwing chairs around, and he kept going like this to me, and I was laughing at him like, man, do you really want to go there? I said, in the first place, I don't want to get in your business. Mm-hmm. I'm just worried about these kids. I'm going to take these kids. You two, you can do whatever you want to do. It's up to you two. I'm not here for you two. And then Jody was like, no, I'm leaving. I'm leaving with you guys. And I was thinking, oh, like, okay, great, get in the car. That's when he came out and he started acting stupid again. And I was like, you need to go calm down. You need to go do whatever you want to do. Drink, whatever, man. Just, you need to calm down and think about it because you're about to go to jail. And then all of a sudden, he acted a little crazy again, and he stopped, and then we left. Came over here.
Well, that was a big moment for me, to be honest. Like, so we all know I went to therapy, and that's one of my moments. My core memories is that moment, and you're a part of it. So thank you. Honestly, that was probably one of my scariest moments in my life. Just because what I seen before you came. And so we believe in angels. We believe in people coming into our lives to save us, to help us, to serve us. And just to give you flowers more, I guess, like it popped in my mind. I didn't even mean to go this direction, but for real, like that moment was a real key moment for me. So thank you.
Me and your auntie will always be there for you guys, for you and me, and for all you kids. I mean, if you guys are in trouble or whatever. That was my biggest fear as a parent, was that my kids didn't feel comfortable enough to come to me with a problem that they had. You know, or even if you went to a party and somebody was drunk, and they're like, oh man, he's the only driver we got. And they were afraid to call me to come pick them up. I told all my kids, if you go to a party, I don't care what you're doing. If somebody is messed up and can't drive, call me. I'll come get you. I won't even ask questions. Just don't drive home with somebody who's drunk, somebody who's messed up, somebody who doesn't know what they're doing, and then even worse stuff happens. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And as a parent, that was my biggest fear.
Where do you think that patience comes from? Because growing up, that's the same perspective I had. There's not too many places where I go that remind me of my home, and I feel comfortable enough, like I was at home, and this is one of them. Especially in high school, you guys have always been like second parents to me. Another safe place that I can go when I wasn't at home. But is there something that happened in your life where a lot of events that made you like be that patient, or be like de-escalation was the first goal?
Well, if you talk to my wife, I'm not a very patient person. But it's, I don't know if it's patience or love. You know, it's the, because I felt like your dad would have treated him the same way if he would have went over to your house. So it was a reciprocation. You know, your dad, Uncle Gabe, Uncle Frank, all those, Uncle Tal, we all had respect for each other and love. So.
Well, I think it's funny being the youngest because my mom and dad allowed me a lot of freedom that my older siblings didn't get. And honestly, it was because they knew where I was. They knew I was here, or with Nico, John, like they knew the boys. So I think I love that you said that, like it's a respect thing. And yeah, my mom and dad wouldn't let me go other places unless they knew I was coming here.
Well, I guess because I feel like you went through the beginning of your life pretty quick. But I also want to, I guess, touch on your siblings and the relationship you have with them.
We're like every other siblings. We fought when we were young. We had our good times and bad times. But surprisingly, I'm amazed at how close we are. We grew up pretty much closer to my mom's family than my dad's family. I don't really know all my dad's family. I don't really know all my mom's family. Because I always thought her last name was Fiangoa, but her father's last name was Utali.
Oh.
Yeah, so I'm finding out that I'm related to your mom.
Yeah.
And then
That's your mom?
it's crazy because I looked up my DNA. I did the test, and all these Lutalis are popping up as second and third cousins. And we as children were close, especially with a lot of my mom. We grew up with some of my mom's nephews and nieces, treating them as brothers and sisters. Your Uncle Mike, Uncle Junior. You didn't meet your Auntie Lua, but she's their sister. And then Sonny, Anthony, they're all like little brothers to me and older brothers.
Where do you sit up in the lineup? How many are there of you, and where are you?
So I have an older half brother Chris, then my brother Stanley, me, my sister Katie, my other sister Renee, my little brother Dave, and the youngest was Charlotte. And I think out of all of us, Charlotte was probably the most educated, even though she doesn't act like it sometimes. My brother Stan he's got a good head on his shoulders, but he was very talented. Artistically, he could draw. When we were kids, he used to draw Spider-Man, Hulk, Superman, Batman. I would take him to school and sell them for $0.25, and that's when they were 5-cent cookies. So I'd sell his drawings and give him like half of it, and then I would take the other half and go buy cookies for the class or whatever.
Did you say 5-cent cookies?
5 cent cookies.
Dang, that's crazy.
Sodas were 15 cents back then for a can.
How much was gas?
Gas was, I think, 55 cents a gallon.
Gosh, damn. I mean, dang. 55 cents?
Back then. I can remember as yet. I remember hamburgers being 15 cents, 10-cent fries.
You know, it's crazy. It's like you're talking about like the movies that we watch. Like, you know those old movies like 15 cents, 5 cents milk. But you really lived that way.
I remember when I got old enough to buy it, Big Mac went up to 70 cents.
Oof.
70 cents.
You guys are lucky this guy wasn't back there. He would have had 20 of them.
I'm gonna ask an uncle to draw some more pictures.
Your uncle's pretty good. He drew a couple of portraits. He was really good.
Are you the first generation here in America?
From my dad's side, yes. From my mom's side, no.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
How was it growing up, like, in San Diego?
San Diego, they thought we were big Mexicans. Because I got close to a lot of Mexicans, and they were like, "Damn, bro, what part of Mexico you from?" And I was like, "Yo, man, I'm Samoan." Samoan, isn't that a dog? I said, "No, Samoan, Hawaiian." Oh, so they didn't really know what Samoans were like, but
Oh, I still feel like they don't know what Samoans are sometimes.
no, they trust me. In San Diego, they more than know.
Yeah.
Some of it's good, a lot of it's bad, but I mean, we as a people are friendly. Barbecues, it's when the cake starts going and the alcohol starts flowing that all of a sudden the friends turn into enemies. So,
And that's why we promote kava. So
Chicago?
yeah.
you have more questions, Beach?
Yeah, I remember you saying I guess this was a thing that would happen with some kids that they were so bad or behaving badly here in the States that their parents would send them back to Samoa.
I got sent back to Samoa.
And so I remember you telling me or us about that sometimes, and I just want you to kind of tell us more of that experience.
I don't know if it's really the kids I was hanging around with because back then I was an altar boy in that 8th grade, and we were Catholic. I was raised Catholic, so as an altar boy, the guys I was hanging around with, we were drinking the sacrament wine and pouring water back in, and we were stealing,
Yo, that's
we were
crazy.
stealing out of the tithing plate.
Yo.
How old were you?
I was 13, and so I got caught.
Yo, you didn't get struck down?
My dad was going to kill me. Luckily for me, he was overseas when this happened. But when he came back, then I got beat up, and then my aunt was just happened to be visiting, and she was telling my dad and my mom, "Let me take him back to Samoa and we'll straighten him out."
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, "What?" She said, "Oh, Samoa's just like Hawaii." Really? So I'm all ready to go. Got my bags packed, got all my aloha shirts and my shorts, thinking, yeah, I'm going on vacation. Oh, man. I got over there, all the beaches were dirty. All of them. Only one nice beach in Samoa with white sand. Every other beach was the brownest, dirtiest sand I ever seen in my whole life. Mostly rocks. Big old giant rocky rocks. And then my aunt, she got me over there, it was like, you got to pick up all these leaves over here. I was like the village slave. I'd pick up leaves, grab these bags of rock to make a lawn. So it was grass first. So she told me, get the big rocks first and line up the outside, and then get 25 bags of little rocks every day for a month and fill in where the big rocks are. And so she had about maybe three-quarters of an acre that I was filling up with just rocks. And then after I filled them all with rocks, leaves would fall on the rocks, so I had to go up and pick up all the leaves on the rocks.
Oh my gosh.
It was, I thought it was slavery at the time, but actually it teaches you the meaning of hard work. And you see a lot of people that, there was a lot of those houses that were just shacks. They weren't even houses. Some houses I went to and I'm like, hey, where's your bathroom at? And then they just look at me, and then there's a little shack outside with a hole that's dug in it, and then there's a big old 55-gallon drum with a scoop. So you go, use the bathroom, 3 scoops every time. It just goes straight down. So I learned a lot about third world living, I guess you can call it. But it's humbling.
How long were you there?
For a year and a half. I was begging my mom.
You were there for a year and a half? I didn't know it was that
My mom,
long.
telling her, they're going to kill me over here, Mom. I need to come back right now. So it was my mom. I guess she had to wait for my dad to go back overseas. And then he wanted me to stay there until I graduated.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. But I did learn how to speak Samoan while I was there. I understood mostly. I came back, I spoke pretty good. But as the years go by, you start to, if you don't speak it regularly, you start to lose it. But I can still understand it.
Like the machete cut on your hand.
So, my first experience going up into the mountain, I went with these younger kids than me. We go up there, and this kid has this big machete. So I grab the machete, and we get to the top, and I go to push it down by the river. We were by this little river. I go to push it down by the river, and the kid says, "No!" Right when he said no, I hit a rock, and my hand slid down, and I almost cut my finger off. So I'm sitting there freaking out, and the guy looks at me, and he just went, smack! He goes, wait. So he looked around, and there was this one certain tree. He grabbed a couple leaves, started chewing on them, spit them out, threw them in my hand, wrapped it with the lava, and it was bleeding bad. He told me, go down the hill and go tell your aunt to take you to the hospital. So I went down the hill. By the time I got to the bottom, pulled that thing off, the wound was clean and it stopped bleeding. So they know there's certain plants over there that you can grab and grind up that are for certain wounds, burns. They have stuff for if you have white spots, it's like a dry rash. It'll cure that too.
So Saudi.
Hey. So I end up going to the doctor's over in Samoa, and this chubby guy grabs my finger. He looks at it. No kind of anesthesia or anything. He just gets the needle and he starts sewing it up right away.
Oh my
He
God.
said, "Take this stick and bite on it."
Nah.
So that was my first experience. I still have my finger, but it's you can barely see the cut now, but it was pretty deep. I missed the ligament by that much. He was telling me as he was sewing it up.
He can remember that.
Real quick, can we all just put our hands up real quick? Let me see everyone's hands. Everyone's.
Are you trying to? These are the hands of a hard worker.
I'm just playing. Your hands just remind me of the guy on Happy Gilmore, the coach,
Yeah.
the wooden handle.
His hand is almost wooden.
Nah, I just brought it up because I thought it was funny. You're gonna say something, though, Beach?
I remember another funny story you told us about someone stealing your pants in the.
Oh, in
In the
Samoa.
bathroom.
So, well, I was only in the 9th grade, but I was a freshman at Leone High School. And Leone High School had probably some of the biggest kids on the island because they took the championship. It was usually between them and Samoa. And so, I'm a new kid there, got new shoes, got brand new jeans. And these Samoan kids on the side were speaking to Samoan. I didn't really know what they were talking about. And then I was like, dang, man, look at these bathrooms. So I go in the bathroom to use the bathroom, number 2. And there's no doors on the stalls. It's just open. So I'm sitting down using the bathroom. And these 2 big dudes come in. And they're looking at me. And the one said, "Malangayalo fuai." And in Samoa, that means you got some nice pants. And then they said, "Malangaya fuai se vai." And then they said, "Oh, those are some nice shoes too." And I was like, "What?" I didn't understand what they were talking about. And then they said, "You got a nice pants and a nice shoes." And I was like, and so one snatched my shoes, the other one grabbed my pants and just, and they were laughing and threw a lava in there. Luckily they threw me lava or I'd have been walking around in my underwear.
Well, that's nice.
That's
That's a better story now.
So I went to school with shoes and a nice pair of jeans, and I came home with a lava and no shoes. And my aunt was like, "Where's your?" And I told her, "Somebody at school took it from me." And she looked at me like, "Why didn't you fight them for it?" And I was like, They were way bigger than I was."
You're like, I didn't understand we were in a fight.
So after that, I only went to school in lava and slippers.
Smart.
Live and learn.
You said you learned hard work from being in Samoa.
The example was my father. Being in Samoa was actually doing the hard work. And my aunt, man. I think it was good, though, because when I went, I was a short, chubby kid. When I came back, I was tall and slim and fast.
Oh.
I had a cousin that we used to race when I was a chubby kid, and I hated him because he was fast. So when I came back from Samoa, he was like, "Oh, man, you think you're quick?" I was like, "Man, I'll dust you." He goes, "Oh, come on." So we lined up the race, and then it was my brother and my older cousin Mike. They were like, "Oh, Butch is not going to win." Ready, set, go. Boom, we took off, and I got out in front of Junior quick. And I turned around to see where he was at, and he was behind me just a little bit. We got to the end. Mike, Stan, both had their mouths open. He was like, "Junior, you just lost to Butch." They couldn't believe it. Junior couldn't believe it. He's like, "Hey, man, Samoa, you want to run for some rocks. You get real fast. But you go up the mountain every day. So, and the mountain's not just this little hike straight. You go up the mountain. There's mud, rocks, and they do it barefooted. Their calluses on their feet are like this thick. They get to the point where we used to play, they call it ingavea, but it's hide and seek at night, and they'd run on the rocks barefooted and stop. They'd be running, and then they turn around and run the other way, and I'm just like, oh. So when I first got there, I was like, but I was running right next to him after about a year.
So you're not lying when the older generation always says, "Man, back in my day, I used to walk up mountains."
To get to the plantation.
Wow. Oh, so it's real?
This was 78, 79.
Sheesh. Was there something that happened in Samoa that, or you're like, "Oh, I had enough, I need to come back"?
No, well, my uncle passed, the one I was living with. He had a heart attack. And when I first got there, I was not really bullied, but there was just kids that were, except for that a couple of times when I was a freshman.
Yeah.
I mean, as I got older, I was almost a sophomore. It was that summer that I was begging my mom, because I got there the summer of my 8th grade. Then got through the summer of my 9th grade, and then it was almost summer going into sophomore. And my mom finally brought me back.
Yeah.
Have you ever considered doing that to any of your kids?
What?
Like, do you think that was a
I would
productive
never.
way to?
I would never send any of my children to South.
Not even Jamie?
Not even Jamie.
Oh, man. Jamie. He loves you.
My father, I was starting to question him. Starting to question how much he loved me.
That's funny. So, meeting Auntie, I feel like that's the next phase of your life. You met her out in the Bay, right?
Mm-hmm.
Do you feel like it was like love at first sight, or did you gotta build up to it?
Well,
What was it?
when I first met her, she had a kid. So I thought she was married already. So I didn't really look that way. But then through mutual friends, they tried to set her up with my brother, and they were trying to set me up with her friend, Adele, Sal. But went on that first date, and I felt like she wanted me to chase her. And no, not her. And I'm like, oh, I'm too old for this crap. I'm through with this. So I didn't really think nothing of it. And then I asked Stanley, how'd yours go? And he goes, I don't think she's for me. And I go, okay. Well, you mind if I talk to her? Because I thought she was cute. He goes, yeah, go ahead. And so the next time I seen her, she was dancing with some guy that was really drunk. And so I went over there and I was like, hey, you want to dance? And then me and her started dancing, and then one thing led to another, and we ended up being married.
Can we see the dance moves?
It was slow dance.
Were you dancing when you approached her?
Hey!
Apparently, according to her, I wore a lot of Coachy shorts back in those days.
Somewhat?
Coachy shorts.
What's that?
You ever see those head Coachy shorts they wear with they were knit, I guess not really knit, they were like polyester pants with the freaking big pockets, the wide pockets on the side and the back for like chew and paperwork.
Were those 15 cents too? Or?
That coochie short.
I was like, oh, you were in the bay.
They came down here. Okay? Came on sale, 5 for $20. So
That's a good sale.
every day it was a different color.
There's 7 days out of a week, though.
Well, 2 got recycled.
So were you hesitant at all that mom already had a kid?
No, because I had 2 boys already. So, and I told her.
Well, you guys don't have to if you guys don't want to touch on this, but was there difficulties navigating parenting both your guys' kids from your guys'
I
other
wasn't
relationships?
really parenting my boys because they were with their mom's mother.
Oh, okay.
She pretty much took over because the mom was doing her own thing. And then we would go visit whenever we could. We'd buy them gifts whenever we could. I remember we went down there and visited one time, and we bought them bikes.
Oh, okay.
But I didn't really see them a whole lot.
Can you tell us the story about when you guys got married?
In Reno.
Like the whole thing? I just heard bits and pieces. I don't really know. And my mom told me the story, so I don't really trust her.
So your aunt was pregnant, and then
Wait, from starting to date to marriage, how long was that?
maybe 4 months.
Oh, okay. Well, you know.
Maybe 4 months, and then when she did get pregnant, I went and talked to your grandma and told her that I'd like to marry Jan, and then she said she was worried about Jan because this had happened before, and she thought that it would, I was just going to take off or whatever. But I say no, I'm ready to take responsibility and be a father. So we ended up going with your Auntie June, your mom, your cousin Alicia, and Teddy.
Uncle Ted went too?
Uncle Ted went too.
I didn't know that.
And then, so we ended up going to Reno, getting married at the courthouse. And we were all staying in the same room.
I heard it was a 1-bedroom.
So for my honeymoon, I got to sleep on the floor.
You and Uncle Ted?
Hey, Uncle Ted is neat. At least it was clean on the floor.
Oh, Uncle Ted is super neat.
He's like a clean freak.
So why did you guys choose Reno?
It was closer than Vegas, and in Reno, it was more accessible and easier to get married because we just went, got our license at the courthouse, and we got married right there.
Was that Bell for you had a question?
No. Already said too much.
Next one, please.
You said it didn't start off the best.
No.
What?
There was one point in our marriage where I thought we might get divorced. and it was probably the lowest point.
Yeah. What helped you? Like, what helped you guys get through moments like that?
I think it was my wife's patience, because then I was a heavy drinker, heavy smoker, heavy partier. I was the all-around Mr. Party all the time guy, party all the time, and I was probably at my most unhealthiest, because it wasn't too long after that I had a heart attack at 37. But I was like 340 at the time, 330, 340.
I didn't know it was that young.
Yeah, I was young. The doctors were shocked. They were looking at me like 37 was way too young to have a heart attack. And then when he found out what kind of lifestyle I had, he was like, oh yeah, because we were going to Leatherby's almost every week, and I was getting that big Daddy Doug's banana split, and I was eating that by myself. And then we would go to the buffet all the time, and I was drinking all the time and smoking all the time. It just wasn't healthy. And so, after I had the heart attack, and after I quit everything else, I started hanging around more with Everett. Everett was already a good friend of mine, but he started talking to me more about the church, and then Eddie Lavatine. Eddie Lavatine used to come over a lot too. Another really good guy. And he knew a lot of people that I knew, and so we formed a relationship in that way that we knew similar people. But Eddie, he ended up being my home teacher, and he would come over all the time and see how we were doing. But there was great priesthood examples for me to observe and to connect with, and so.
Eddie, he was in the Jets.
Yeah.
Yeah, he used to work with my dad.
Yeah, he was a bass player. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Eddie's a really good guy, and I remember he told me he used to work with your dad.
Yeah, we used to pick him up in the morning, so I used to drop him off.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And so, talking with those guys, and then I had a steak present from Hunter come over, and then he asked me, because I was always sitting on the fence, because I liked the church, I liked a lot of the principles of the church, but I kept seeing people in the church not following the principles of the church. And I was like, well, what kind of church is this? And then I was talking to the stake president about it, and he's like, oh wow, man, is that all that's holding you back? And I said, yeah, well, wouldn't that hold you back? And he said, no, let me tell you something. He says, the church is true. We as people are not. We're all imperfect. And when he told me that, it was like a light came on. I'm like, ding, oh, okay, that's it. There's my green light. So I had told her and her mom that I was going to get baptized, and she was like, what? Are you serious? No way. Because she never thought I was going to take her to the temple. She told me, she says, you're never going to take me to the temple. But we ended up going to the temple. And then after I got baptized, I was able to baptize him. And he was the last one, because Jason and Tui baptized my other kids, and Vico. So I had help from other priesthood holders, which I appreciated.
You had that help from other priesthood holders, but how did it feel for you to be able to hold the priesthood and to be able to baptize your son?
It was probably the best feeling I've ever had. I was so full, so to speak. My heart was full. And I'd never been full before. So it was good.
You talked about you quit everything, smoking, drinking. What helped you do that? Because I've always remembered you talking to my mom about that, and I always remember her as like, Butch, we're not all you, we all can't do that. But
somebody had told me that. I think it was the state president, because I told him, I says, I smoke and I drink. I don't know if I can quit that cold turkey. And he had told me, have you ever thought about asking for help? And I was thinking, I don't know what kind of programs. And he goes, no, getting down on your knees and asking for help. And I never thought about that. And so I did that. That night I thought, you know what, if I'm going to do this, I got to do this all the way. So I did that. I woke up the next day. I felt great. And I didn't have the urge to smoke. I didn't have the urge to drink. I didn't have the urge to do any of the stuff that I used to do. And it kind of scared me because I was like, I thought I was going to be doing that for the rest of my life, you know. I told her, I said, I don't think I'm going to be able to quit doing any of this because it's just what I thought was part of me, but it's just, I think it was just my ego, you know. So I think once you humble yourself enough to ask for help, the help will be given to you, but you have to ask for it. And you have to humble yourself. So that's what every time Jimmy asked me, your Uncle Jimmy asked me the same thing, and I tell him, you know, this is what I did. I don't know if it's going to work for you, but it really worked for me. So
That's like one of the extraordinary things for me. That example, that because I grew up around that. Like we all know, like my mom and Alfred, they partied and drank, smoked, drugs, all of that. And I was young, but I still remember those parties here and all that stuff. But it was cool to be able to see that that if you truly have the heart to do it, that you can. And I've always admired that about you, like that story has always, like, that's why I asked it, is because like God really can work miracles in so many lives. Like you said, like you felt like you couldn't do it. Like I don't know, like this feels like a part of me, but Heavenly Father showed you, was like, nah, it's not a part of you. It's just a part of your story that we're gonna change to the next chapter.
that's exactly right. You have to have a desire first. And, well, that desire helps you in the beginning, but you can't do it all by yourself. You have to have help. And that's where humbling comes in, to where you can get down and humble yourself and say, I can't do it all. I need you to help.
Kind of want to roll it over to because you talked about the experience with Beach, about baptizing him and how that made you feel like your heart feel full. How was it? Because I feel like I don't remember the date or anything, but I remember the day when you, Auntie, and all the kids went to the temple to get sealed together. How was that experience?
That was, it's hard to explain. I just felt a peace. I felt like everything was going to be all right, you know. Not that all our problems were gone or anything, but that we had a chance. There was a chance for everybody. That we were giving our children a chance, but they had to follow up on their own. We couldn't, I mean, we could help them as much as we could, but we couldn't force them into any decisions. They had to make them on their own. And that's the beautiful thing about free agency. People say that churches control you. This church doesn't control you. You have the free agency to do what you want. You don't have to do anything. It's your desire to do something, and your desire to know what's right. And so that's exactly how I feel about the church.
I love that you hit on that point, because I feel like, especially on my mission, I seen that a lot, where a lot of people are like, "Oh man, like so restrictive. You have so many so many rules and regulations, and it holds you back from being the true you." But I've always related to, like, I guess, to my job right now. So as a plumber, we have so many rules on a job site with all the PPE, hat, gloves, all that stuff. And even like when we're in the lift, like we have to be harnessed off. And it's funny because a lot of guys complain about that. Man, why do I have to be harnessed off? All that stuff. But I chalk it up to that point with the church. Like there's so many things to help keep you safe, to have the potential to help you if something does happen. It's not to restrict you, but to serve you, to benefit you, to do the best job you need to do.
Right.
And so I like that you hit that point, because I feel like sometimes that's a lot of people's hang up. It's like, man, you know, they want to change me. It's like, nah, no one wants to change you, man. Heavenly Father just loves you and sees your greater potential than what you can see for yourself. So I like that you hit that point.
I know you talked about Eddie and Uncle Jay being being that example for you, but like John always does, like he wants to give flowers. You're that example for me growing up. I guess you already know my mom and dad weren't the strongest in the church, so I didn't really have as far as the example of a priesthood holder, and you were there for me. So I appreciate you. I want to thank you for that. You're someone I looked up to as far as this gospel goes, where that's where I wanted to be eventually. And so, yeah, thank you.
You know, I could see in your parents, especially your dad and your mom, the potential to be what they wanted to be. But it's a lot of people, we all fall into the same trap of our surroundings, our environment. And it's whether you want to be a part of it or you want to just learn from it, you know. And your dad had a big heart. I loved your dad. He was probably one of my good friends that loved everybody. Plus, besides being a good cook, your dad, I mean, he could barbecue some chicken. So, you know, I appreciated him for his example too.
I think that's one thing I learned about this church was the examples that I've had growing up. So, one thing that I loved is when my dad finally wanted to get active in the church. I don't know how you and him did it, but he's the same way, cold turkey, everything. Smoking, drinking, which he did for years.
Yeah, he did it for a long time.
I don't know how you guys just cold turkey stopped everything.
Like I said, man, desire, bro. Desire.
But yeah, so like it was the coolest thing because he had the same. When our bishop told him he could baptize his grandkids, like that's in the same fullness in his eyes and his heart. I just love how the Spirit and Heavenly Father can do that to individuals. I've seen him happy, but there was nothing like I've seen when Bishop told me I can baptize. No, he told me that. I said, "There's no way you can baptize before me." He started laughing. And, yeah, I just love the transformations that you can see in this gospel.
It's an awesome thing.
You always tell us stories about and show us your scars from your dad, because I know your dad was old school and how he disciplined you guys. But me or us growing up, you never really touched us, or you never had that same mentality with us. So I guess I want to ask why you changed that cycle.
So, I asked your grandma. She told me one time that your grandpa woke up in a sweating bullets. And she was like, "What's wrong with you?" And this was later on in years. They were already living in Samoa, just those two. And she asked him what was wrong. And then he said he woke up because he had a nightmare. And his nightmare was all he could see was the fear in his kid's eyes. And so when she told me that, I kind of thought about it for a long time. It's one thing I never wanted you kids. I wanted you kids to respect us, but I didn't want you to be afraid of us. I wanted you kids to come to us if you had problems. To come to us if something was bothering you. I didn't want you to feel so afraid of us, because that's how I felt with my father. It was almost uncomfortable for me to talk about personal things with my father because it felt awkward. My mother was no problem. My dad was kind of hard, and so I didn't want that kind of relationship with my kids.
On a totally different subject, where'd you get the name Butch?
Okay, so
Yeah.
when I was a baby,
Wait, what's your real name?
my real name was Paletti Jr. I was named after your grandfather,
Don't you have a middle name?
Anthony. I don't know where Anthony came from either. I know where Butch came from. So my mom's cousin, who's a really funny guy, his name is Butch Meredith, was her favorite cousin. So me and your Uncle Junior were in the same house. We're living together. They called me Junior. They called him Junior. Whenever they said Junior, we both looked. My mom told my aunt, "You keep calling your son Junior, I'm going to nickname my son Butch." That's where the nickname Butch. Because when I got to school, when people said Paletti, I'm looking around and said, "Oh, there's another Pulu in here." Now, who's Paletti Pulu? I didn't even know my name was Paletti. I always thought my name was Butch, and so she was looking right at me when she said Paletti Pulu. I'm looking around like, who the hell's Paletti?
So we're all gonna have that same experience.
I've heard Paletti, Pulu. They murdered that name. I think there's been enough Polynesian names around for people to know how to say Paletti. Paletti is pretty easy.
When did you find out, Beach?
No, yeah, the kind of say it was in elementary, and they were saying Paletti, and I was like, "Who's that?" And I'm like, "Oh," and then they said BJ, and I was like, "Oh shoot, that's." Then I looked at the paper. I was like, "Oh damn, that's my first name."
Puka's gonna be proud of that name.
Yeah, Enzo's gonna have the same thing.
I know, because we call him Enzo.
Yeah.
He's going to get called Paletti in class.
Me and Mom call him Pukaletti.
That's not going to help him either.
More confusing.
The man has 3 first names now.
I never liked my name either, Paletti. I don't know why. There was nothing wrong with it. I just got so used to Butch.
What did your aunt say it meant?
Oh, so
Nancy said, what did your aunt say it meant? Sorry for the viewers that can't see here.
your grandmother was sick in the hospital because Tui took her to Wendover.
Yeah.
Or Beaver, Tui or Beaver did, one of them, or Charlie. And she ended up in the hospital over here in Provo. So I took all my kids, we went over there to visit. And they were curious about my name, or my name and my father's name. So they asked her, how did Grandpa Pulu get his name Paletti? And she said, well, he was born during a blackout. And black in Samoa, I thought was uli, me uli. And apparently, Paleki is another way to say black in Samoa. So they named him Black. Yeah. I said, why didn't they just name him Blackout? Because it was a blackout.
Yeah, this is for you and Donovan. What team is never going to win the Super Bowl? And why is it the Chargers?
You Chargers? I guess San Diego. That makes sense.
From Dago, man.
Are they ever going to get good, or what do they need to do to get good? What your observation as a coach?
We need to keep Harbaugh. We need to get a little bit better at running back. And I think we're set at DB. I think we just need one more edge rusher because I don't know if Bosa's it. I think he might be a little used up.
Future chief right there.
Probably. If not a chief, he's going to be a Raider. Because it seems like all the Chargers go to the Raiders first before they go anywhere else.
Yeah.
Except for Drew Tranquil, he went straight to the Chiefs. Any other
stupid questions?
any other dumb questions?
Get that one out there.
By the way, the Chiefs suck.
Just so you guys know, Beej is a Chiefs fan, but he's a diehard Chiefs fan. He's not like a lot of bandwagon guys. Like, he's been a fan since we were little, and I don't even know why he was a fan. So it's kind of weird.
I got a tattoo on my lower back, so.
As a child.
Show it off camera.
So we all go through hardships, dark times. You don't have to share your darkest moments or dark moments, but what has helped you get out of those moments? Because I know in society now, a lot of people are struggling with trying to get out of those moments. So for you, what have you done to help?
The best thing for me is my wife. We talk a lot about our problems. We didn't really talk about them when we were first married, but now we talk a lot about them, and we try to work through them. And I can see her point, and she can see my point, because before, when we weren't talking about them, I think it was just a lot of useless anger because we were missing each other's points. But now it's so much better, and it's, to be honest with you, it's so nice to have somebody to talk to have feedback back on also. So it works both ways for us.
Growing up, you've always been a great example as a father figure that I've seen. Were you like that when you first had your jury?
No.
No?
I was the worst example of a father. I was trying to go party all the time and drop her off with grandma.
I asked that because we talked about it. Like the oldest kind of is not the like they're the ones that you're still developing parental skills. How has your parenting changed from Jure going down the line to your youngest?
Drastically. To BJ. With the girls, it was pretty much Jan, helping them with their sports and their school, and being there for them for a lot of the stuff that they did in school. For me, it was mostly this guy right here. For Jan also, she was there for him too. But for me, parenting-wise, I would say it was me more or less realizing that I had to be a better example for him on how he goes about his life and how he treats people around him, especially how he treats women. I didn't want him to be, because not that my father was a bad person, but he was a womanizer. And
Why are you laughing back there so hard?
Not that he was a bad person.
He's a bad person, but
no,
kind of mess around.
he loved us still as kids, but he had a wandering eye. I'm not gonna lie. He was a wanderer. But it's I mean, like, you learn a lot of what not to do from your parents. So I'll just put it that way.
What are your favorite qualities out of all your kids? Like one quality for each kid.
Out of Jure, it's her responsibility. I love that she is on most of what she needs to do. And Janessa is just, her and Anoka together crack me up. Those
Humor
are hilarious. And Jamie and Tel, Jamie is a good mother to her children. Her motherly qualities, and Tel is trying his best to be the best that he can be as a father. The one good thing that I like about my kids is all my grandkids run straight to their dads. From Shone and Gwenny to the two girls, Leah Ray and Tunale, down to Pukoletti and Lena. They just adore their fathers, and that's something that I'm very happy about.
You miss Lucy.
And Losi.
You miss Beach too, and Melody.
I just said Pukoletti and Lena Marie.
I don't know. That was generalizing for all the kids. He doesn't like you, bro.
I'll cry later. I'm gonna ask, from where you're at in life, do you have any regrets?
I regret that I didn't join the church sooner when the girls were younger. I think, not that I wouldn't do it now, but I probably would have had a lot more daddy-daughter dates with them. I feel like they missed out on a lot of what we could have shared more than we can still do it now. I'd still be more than happy to take my girls out for daddy-daughter days because I don't have a problem. And I I like the fact that they aren't afraid to tell me whatever's on their mind or clown me, because I laugh right along with them. You know, if you can't laugh at yourself, you're too serious. So, I mean, to a point, I don't mind them clowning me.
Because I have a question about that.
Yeah.
Because we text some of the kids about questions, and they said, ask him about the what is it, the island that he drove over.
Oh.
If that's too far, then we can skip it.
Well, I can tell you about that. This is what happens when you go to McDonald's right after church.
And the father's like, bam!
I'm going to McDonald's, huh?
You're saying God put that island.
I'm not saying God put that island. I'm saying, God, let me make a choice, and then he showed me the consequences of that choice.
Oh, yeah. That's good.
Okay?
What's one thing we are Elevated podcast, and the reason why we named that is because we do truly believe that the best way to elevate your life is through love. What's the biggest thing in your life that you can attribute to elevating?
I have to say, the love that I felt from my wife, because when I was at my lowest and when I thought that my family life was over, we were able to connect at that time. I think we were able to overcome it, because at that time I wasn't really a great example. I wasn't really a great father. I wasn't a great husband. I was always wanted to go party, always wanted to go drink, didn't want to hang around the house. I mean, I went to work, but that was it. I felt like I just had to provide for my family and not do anything else. I didn't want to work together. I didn't want to help with the children. I didn't want to do any of that. And her patience through that and being able to help me, speaks volumes. So I'm grateful for that. And that would probably have to be what helped me help myself. Just besides the examples, you know, I also had examples, but that was the biggest thing, the biggest help.
Well, like I said, I'm grateful too that you went through that, because you elevated our lives, I think, all in our own individual ways.
We have this thing going on with us. So you're trapped in a room, okay? You got 3 choices to fight an animal to survive. You got a wolverine, you got an alligator, you got an anaconda. Out of those 3, who do you think you can survive against?
Are we on dry land or?
Dry land. In this room.
Probably alligator.
Crocodile. I'm going to say crocodile.
I don't care. Crocodile, alligator, crocodile.
Probably it.
Thank you. Why? Why do you think?
It would be easier for me to jump on his back and grab his mouth.
You can't grab his mouth. I'm just kidding.
I'm tighter than my wife if I have to.
All right. Well,
Thanks, Don.
this is Elevated Podcast. We appreciate your love. Appreciate you guys tuning in. Like, subscribe, share with a friend. This is a story that can bless so many lives. So please share it with your family and friends and loved ones. If you have family or friends or loved ones that have an extraordinary story as well, please hit us up. We'd love to stop by. We'd love to talk. We'd love to record their story as well. So from us, we love you. Peace.